Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast.
Can you explain what happened in the new Bluey episode?
Bluey was moving, but Bluey didn't want to move, but then they end up staying.
Spoiler alert, that's 5-year-old Carolina Maceman summing up the season finale of the wildly popular kids show, Bluey.
Why do we have to sell our house?
We've been through this, Bluey. Dad's got a new job in another city.
And what's wrong with this city?
Nothing.
So an explainer here. If you're not in with the 2 to 6-year-old crowd, Bluey is an Australian cartoon about a family of blue heeler dogs and the ups and downs of everyday life. It is beloved for its charm and its treatment of emotional topics. In 2023, Bluey was the second most streamed television series in the entire United States. The finale sees Bluey and his family processing tough emotions about that potential move, and it's left a trail of emotionally devastated viewers, big and small.
I've just watched the special edition episode of Bluey, and I'm literally crying my eyes out.
Oh, I'm definitely not okay. Oh, I definitely have some trauma to work through from that. Oh my God, I'm crying so much.
Meryl Alper is an associate professor in communication studies at Northeastern University in Boston. Meryl, good morning.
Good morning to you.
For people who have not seen this program and are wondering why, not just that why we're talking about it, but why people have that reaction to it, how would you describe Bluey?
So Bluey is a really heartfelt family sitcom, but with dogs instead of people, and for preschoolers. So it kind of sounds preposterous, but it's that fantastical nature that I think really lets it then unlock deeper stories, deeper emotions in a way that shouldn't work, but absolutely does.
So tell me more about that. I mean, who is the audience ostensibly that Bluey is targeting?
So Bluey is one of those rare shows that is both for kids and for parents.
This is called a co-viewing show.
Yeah. It's educational TV that's really for everyone. So it's, rare that I think you see a lot of TV that's for kids, that's educational, but not so much that's really also meant to help parents come away with some bigger answers and maybe some new questions for themselves about who they want to be as parents.
Why is it so appealing to that audience? I mean, what is it that this show is doing that's connecting with people, do you think?
So I think for parents, and I say parents right now of kids that are 2 to 6. So I guess like myself, kind of the elder millennial, I suppose, generation, where Bluey is like reading a parenting book, but the lessons themselves are deeply embedded in stories, besides being hilarious, because it's really this sort of animated guide for how to play with your kids and how to be really present with them. And I think there's also this element where parents themselves who are so busy over the course of the day, Bluey models for parents how to be with your kids and present. And it does so in this short 7-minute way where you don't have to commit to an entire episode if you're going to be watching it with your kids. You can dip in and dip out. And obviously for kids, it's educational in that it's, a lot of shows also are about social emotional curriculum, how to handle big feelings. But Bluey is appealing also because it's so replayable. It's really short, like I just mentioned, 7 minutes. So kids can rewatch episodes really easily, and that rewatching, that repeatability helps them learn, helps them take away things. But it also models, there's a lot of just games in the show, pretend play that kids can, they don't just leave the episode when they're done with it. They will play keepy uppy, or play certain games in the car that they see modeled on Bluey. And so that reminds parents of the show. So it kind of works in that whole family ecosystem.
People have said that this is one of the great TV shows of our time. I mean, Rolling Stone called the season finale a masterclass. It's being compared in terms of the ratings that it gets from viewers to shows like Succession and Game of Thrones. What is it about that season finale that was so great?
So I think that it's, the topic itself is relatable, not to be a spoiler, but moving is deeply emotional. And I think why for this show it's so important is because the home of Bluey, there's lots of different places that the family go, but the home is so central. Again, just like in a family sitcom, it's the main set piece. It's grown with the family. I mean, it's a show that, they plant Easter eggs. There's little things about it that change, just like how, families own homes, how your home looked when your child was a baby, when you were baby proofing is different than how it looks like when it's 5. So there's this real, emotional connection that families have. So then this idea that it could be taken away, that I think viewers, both parents and kids, the kids I think are relating absolutely to the children and their reactions in the show. But the parents, it's operating, why I think it's especially emotional, is that it's operating for them as parents, thinking about parenting their own child through something potentially very devastating like that. But they're also tapping into their own feelings of being a child as well.
That emotional connection, I mean, we heard a little bit of it, parents crying after watching an episode and talking about how they're going to have to process some of the trauma that perhaps was unearthed in the program. This is in part because of what this show talks about. And moving is one thing. There's an episode called Onesies, which is about the issue of infertility. Have a listen to that.
Mum, why did Auntie Brandy want to leave? Is she sad? And why have we only seen her once in our lives?
You know how you really want Bingo's cheetah onesie?
Yeah, more than anything.
But it doesn't fit you, so you can't have it. And there's not really anything anyone can do to make it fit.
Yeah.
Well, there's something Auntie Brandy wants more than anything as well. But she can't have it. And there's not really anything anyone can do.
How do you understand what's going on there?
Sure. So I will also kind of calm viewers to say that there's, speaking of the finale, there might be a happy ending to what is talked about potentially in Onesies. But what's going on in that clip is a parent basically trying to explain to their child. I mean, what essentially happens in the show is a family member, somebody who's very close, but who is childless and who has had a lot of difficulty being around families, with children when that's something that they want themselves, even if, those families are, their own siblings, extended families. So it's a tough topic for all kinds of families, aspiring families, something experienced by women without, or, really not just women, whole families without children or looking to have kids. But what's happening there is that, the mom in the show, Chili, is modeling for Bingo and her sister that, yes, it's also about sharing. It's also about, wanting and desiring and feeling like that there's a frustration there about something you can't have. And that those are different goals and aspirations between kids and adults, but there is that still common, same shared emotional thread. How
do you think doing something like that, which is really complex, I mean, on a lot of different levels, how does that compare to other kids' shows? I mean, I think of Sesame Street, but also the programs that our kids watched, Backyardigans. And I mean, this is different, right? Yeah, no, there's a real sophistication here that I think also very much is in line with the fact that Bluey is not a show that was created for the purposes of selling toys. Essentially, it's not Paw Patrol. It's got dogs, but it's definitely not Paw Patrol. And so the motivations are very different. It's also coming out of a legacy of Australian public media, which really has this history of different TV shows. I'm thinking of from a while ago called Round the Twist, for example, that really are about respecting children's agency and treating them as people, not just people, going to become people, but people as they are. So I think that because of that, the show can play with different topics. It can play with the different genres. It can play with different musical styles. It's not looking to be a vehicle for commercialism. And so when you start from that place, then you have the whole human experience to work from, not just the experience that will best fit action figures or a playset. We have just about a minute or so left. Do you have a favorite episode of Bluey? It has to be Sleepy Time from season 2. What is Sleepy Time about?
So sleepy time is about the difficulty that not just kids have for sleeping in their own bed as they get older, but how that separation can also be difficult for adults too, for parents who enjoy those cuddles and are sad about their child growing up. But stylistically, it is unlike anything I've ever seen in children's media. It's like a calming meditation on that small but weighty transition from little to big kid in ways that maybe only 2001: A Space Odyssey have left me sort of gobsmacked and awestruck, truly.
That's kind of a wild comparison, a children's television show and 2001.
Yes, and here we are in 2024, and I look forward to many more episodes that Bluey will have that I think will continue to push the boundaries of this genre.
That's important news, in part because there was concern that the show could be ending, but it is coming back, right?
As far as I can tell, you never know, but I have to think now that Bluey is actually doing things like selling toys and Disney Plus subscriptions, that I don't see the grips of that show being let go by the creators anytime soon.
Meryl, thank you very much for this.
My pleasure.
Meryl Alper is an associate professor in communication studies at Northeastern University in Boston. After the season finale of Bluey, there were rumors that were swirling that this program could in fact be ending. But no, that is not the case. The show's producer confirmed to the BBC a few days ago that yes, indeed, Bluey will be back.